everyone, it's NonnaGrace, and I'm from Western New York. Today I brought in a little cheat sheet to help me along. And the topic today is how chickens handle every season. Well, we're going into winter, and the chickens do like the cold a lot better than they like the heat. It's important to have the room, their area, not drafty and dry. Have it dry and not drafty. They don't need lights. A lot of people think they need lights, but they don't need the heat lamps or the light. But some people do put on lights to get more eggs, but they don't need that either. If they should rest for that time period. And the hardest thing I've found is keeping the water thawed through the winter. I have a little chimney with a light bulb underneath, and you have to buy the incandescent light bulbs to get the heat. If you have the LEDs, they don't put out any heat.
They do, but very, very low.
Very little.
Not enough to keep the water from freezing.
And I use a 60-watt bulb underneath the chimney. And the water thing just sits on there, and it stays thawed through the whole winter. And our winters get pretty cold sometimes. We're never in the minus, though. But we're real close to
If we were, I'd have to change.
We're single digits.
Yeah, if we were down below zero, I'd have to go up to a 100-watt bulb instead of the 60.
And for this, then we're coming into spring after the winter. And the spring is when the birds start to lay more eggs because the daylight gets a lot longer. They don't need any extra light if you're trying to get more eggs. The sun will come up earlier and it sets later. It's when they start getting new feathers, and the grass boosts their nutrition. They go out and they scratch more in the yard. You have to make sure they have shade, because in the summer they get heat and hydration is the thing that they could get. They get overheated, and the way chickens, they don't sweat, so they have their mouth gapped, and they do like a dog, and then they'll have their wings out, and they'll fluff their wings up to let the air through.
They'll do kind of a panting like a dog does.
Yeah, that's what they do, with their mouth gapped.
Yep.
So you know when they're too hot. So what you can do is you can make sure they always have water, and make sure they have some frozen treats. Like you can take vegetables and freeze them in the freezer and then give them to them, and that helps them cool down. I've actually had some that like to walk in the water. Mm-hmm. Not very many of mine do that. When in the winter too, they said that some birds like the snow and some don't like the snow. Mine don't usually like the snow. But I do shovel a path for them, and this way, if it melts any, the grass starts to show, and then they start following the path out to wherever they scratch at the grass. You can put straw on the snow to keep it warm for their feet, and a lot of times their feet, this is still in winter, they sit on roosts, and they sit on their feet, and that's how they keep them from getting frostbite. And they also tuck their heads under their wings, and that's how they keep them from getting frostbite on their wattles and their cones. But if they've got a real high cone, they can get frostbite. They can also get sunburned if they're not careful. In the summer, we got to make sure they have shade so that they can go where the shade is, and this way they don't get sunburned, because they will get sunburned. They also like to dust bathe. I have a dust bathe thing built into the coop, so that in the winter they can dust bathe too. That's a way of them keeping their feathers clean, even though it's dirt.
Well, to us it's dirt, but to them it gets rid of the oils that are on
the
there.
mites, if there's
Oils
any
and the mites and anything like that.
It keeps them clean. Then they go into fall, which is where we are right now. They will molt, which means they start to lose their feathers, and then you're supposed to give them a little extra protein now, because that takes a lot of energy to grow feathers. they won't lay very many eggs because it starts getting dark. In fact, it's getting dark now outside for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark in the morning. It's dark until about 6:30, I think it is, still dark.
Yeah.
And it's dark now, and it's 6:24 actually.
Yep.
If you want to be exact. So the chickens, they can handle just about any temperature. They like the cold a lot better than the heat. At least mine do, because they're a dual purpose bird there, and they're a bigger bird. But dual purpose means that you can eat them if you wish to, but I don't care to eat mine. And they lay eggs also, but they're not a big egg layer unless they're a Rhode Island Red. They lay a lot of eggs. I don't have any Rhode Island Reds because they're kind of bossy.
Or a Leghorn.
Or Leghorn. But Leghorns are more. They're a dual, but they're a taller, skinnier looking dual.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look as filled out as some of my hens do. And it says here, the chickens are built for every season. They just need your help. In the shade, they want summer they want shade. Warmth in the winter and protein in the fall and early spring. And a clean space in the early spring is what they would like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope you all have a great day. And if you want to know more about chickens, ask me any questions and I'll try to find out the answers if I don't know. Or you can Google it, like I do a lot of times. If I don't know the answer, that's what I have to do. I have to Google it. Or I ask my brother, because he's a lot more familiar with chickens. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.